outside for whatever the service is. I miss you and wish you before Shalema. I want to thank Eli for his dedication to seeing that the family would make to see him, and for this moving hesped at Levaya, where he spoke with Shem all of his siblings, to Yaakov and Ephraim for their truly touching Espedim, where they spoke for Shem all the grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And after today's speeches, what can I really add? I guess we'll find out. I want to thank Sarah for sharing some of her memories of Mama with me last night, many of which I incorporated into the speech, and I apologize that I didn't include all of them. Some of us may be wondering why I was asked to speak today. I'm not the oldest grandchild, I'm not the most learned grandchild, and I'm not one of the family attorneys. I also realize I'm not very good gematrias. So yesterday I was wondering the same thing, and I shared a few thoughts about this with Yael, and she pointedly reminded me, this speech is not about you, it's about Mama. So, with that in mind, I proceeded to put together some of my thoughts and memories about Mama with some sprinkling in of how I may fit into all this. As I began to think about things I was going to miss about Mama, I realized that in truth, I have been missing these things for the past few years. They were things that we maybe had taken for granted and come to expect. So I'd like to share my perspective and memories, and hopefully the Devarim Hayosim and Alev will be Nichnasim and Alev. Even while you're reading. Growing up, we were very lucky. We had what almost no one else had. We have 4 sets of loving grandparents, each with their own specialties, each involved in their respective communities, each one caring so much for us. But it was different with Mama and Papa. You can say it was because of their geographic location, but that would be shortchanging what Mama and Papa were about. Countless Yom Tovim in Scranton, a Pesach visit that lasted until September. Scranton was truly our second home. In all the years, I can say I never felt that I was treated any different than any of the other grandchildren. When we joined the family, thanks to the hard work and dedication of Ima and Daddy, but also certainly thanks to Mama's efforts as well, the merger was a success. Corporations go through mergers, and they take years to plan. And then if they're lucky and plan well, it takes years to integrate the two companies. For us, everything went relatively smooth. And I can say for myself, and I think for my siblings as well, that we felt the genuine love from everyone here. And I'm sure in large part thanks to Mama's love and dedication. We remember Mama, the elegant, take-charge person she was, with a pencil behind her ear, adding up figures on the side of a paper bag. By the way, I'm sure she would try to help out Shmuel over there. Finishing the New York Times crossword puzzle every week. Mama was the ultimate balabusta. Everything was systemized. Sarah would go before Pesach to help Mama, and she remembers how Mama's feet were swollen for so much work. Keep in mind that besides cooking for at least 8 additional people, this was the busiest time of the year for their business. They were the address for kosher food in Scranton. If you wanted chicken or meat, kosher Pesach spices, canned goods, nuts, etc., there was no other place to go. Running the business and preparing for Pesach, what an amazing feat. No pun intended. And we spent many Pesachs in Scranton. Who can forget the special foods Mama used to make? Special Pesach noodles, the chicken soup, kremzel, stuffed cabbage, pickled tongue, jelly rolls, and homemade canned fruits, just to name a few. Mama's cooking was so good. I've had dreams of opening a restaurant and naming it Mama's Kitchen, and just serving up her recipes. It would be an instant success. Mama chopping liver in her old wooden bowl. Sarah reminded me of this, but I really didn't need her to remind me. In fact, I still chop liver by hand every week. And that's how I saw Ima and Mama do it. Just the week Mama left us, my hand chopper broke. I mentioned to Ima during Shiva that the one thing that I would like for Mama's possessions would be her chopper and wooden bowl. Unfortunately, when I went over to the apartment to try to find it, I couldn't find it, so I believe that those items never made the final cut in the move from 915 Olive Street to Baltimore. I'm not sure what the gematria is of that. Again, Mom might be able to help us with some numbers there. A few of the grandchildren had the opportunity to go to school in Scranton. Yaakov, Sarah, Usher. I believe I may have been the only one who actually had 2 graduations in Scranton. The first was during our extended Pesach stay in 1975, when I graduated Laura Miriam Epstein's kindergarten class, and then again when I graduated from Scranton Yeshiva High School in 1987. It was during those 2 years in Scranton Yeshiva, and then again for the 2 years when I was at Yeshiva in Miami, when I got to see Mama and Papa unplugged, so to speak. No fancy elaborate meals. Mama didn't like to cook much when it was only her and Papa. But I still remember then, when I would come by the house, and with a twinkle in her eye and a smile on her face, Mama would say, "Yonah, I have something special for you." And if it wasn't eggplant parmesan, which I don't eat, but she would go to the freezer and pull out some $9.99 frozen packaged corned beef and give it to me to take back to Yeshiva. That was the extent of takeout food in Scranton. Well, when Mama was in the mood to cook, she would always ask me, and as Sarah mentioned to me, when we were in Yeshiva and she was in Beis Yaakov, that we should bring friends over. She always liked to have friends over. Plus, Arkham was such a part of her. Always having her friends who may have been less fortunate than her. Like kids still remember Aunt Minnie, after Uncle Bert passed away, from the years we were lucky to be able to go to Scranton for Rosh Hashanah. And Mama would have Aunt Minnie over so she could be close to Shul. I can still picture myself at Mom and Papa waiting for Anaheim Yistal to come over after he finished davening and landing at Oy Shalom. I think that was the name of the show. Competition. It was their weekly custom to stop by and accomplish schmooze on the way home. There was so much to learn from Mama. Most of these things were already mentioned. The Chazar is not a bad thing. Keep it up with aim, taking care of Pa and then Bubba. And as I mentioned, her stubbornness. Not to give up when she knew she was right. It was this stubbornness that I am sure contributed to Scranton's Yiddishkeit not being as dead as its coal industry. What made Scranton any different than many of the other out-of-town communities that no longer exist, like Omaha, Nebraska? But if Aaron Cutler Zatzal has sent his Talmidim to start a yeshiva in a town without a Hebrew day school, but if I find had chosen Scranton to establish his family, there were no Hebrew day school, would the children and grandchildren of Scranton's founding family still be in Scranton if there was no Hebrew day school? All of this due in large part to Mama's stubbornness in the face of heavy and sometimes outright nasty resistance. As I actually heard from somebody who heard it from Aunt Debbie, some of the stories that Mama went through when she was trying to get a day school started. Now look at what she was able to accomplish. We knew what was important to Mama. Her children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. They felt her love from birthday steaks back in Staten Island, the care packages, the chocolate crinkle cookies at every simcha, even in her late 80s. Always bringing Scranton's famous Ayar Kichel along. Years back, taking time from her busy Yom Tov preparations to sit with us and read her stories in the Jewish press. Offering us a quarter to say Shema or to say something we learned in school. And we would try to return this love to her by visiting and calling her at every chance. Yoel would make every effort to see Mama when she was in Far Rockaway, and he would always get a special smile. She loved playing Scrabble and Rubby Cup with the children and grandchildren, not only because she was the undisputed champion, but also because she loved spending time with us. In closing, okay, we're almost there, I wanted to take a moment to paraphrase a famous and actually now a printed poem. We had a mama, she could not be beat. When we went to Scranton, we all had such a treat. Mama gave us candy and made pickled tongue so dandy. We had a mama who could not be beat. She baked for me and you, Frisch Yom Tov V'nu. She wrote and typed and kept the books, and in between she cooked. She played games with you and me and told us stories so easily. She brought us nice things to wear and taught us to care. We were very lucky children to have such a wonderful mama. And thank Hashem for sharing her with us for all these years. Mama will miss you.